That's him.
And we're
That's
live.
him. Sounds shouldn't be on yet. Oh, you can say hi. You're on. I'm gonna get the time. What is 50 minutes? 51 minutes from now. Dan.
It'll be 2:09.
09?
Yeah.
1, 2.
Start. Okay.
There we go.
That's updated. Okay.
Yep, I'm gonna go tell him to start.
Thanks for bearing with us, everybody. Hello and welcome all. We are here at Arizona's Eternal Magic City Championship for Gilbert at Amazing Discoveries Games. Or Amazing Discoveries Gilbert. Playing some Legacy tonight. Did we update the stream name? Like the title?
I didn't.
Okay. Our first round today is 4-Color Delver versus UR Delver. We've seen a lot of 4-Color Delver popping up after the Wrenn and 6 making some splash in Legacy, as well as UR Delver with the Dreadhorde Arcanist. We have, looks like Jim won the die roll, and he's starting off with a Ponder with Tropical Island. Jeremy playing a little bit of a budget version. Looks like he doesn't have all those Trops, or all those Volks, so he's playing Steam Vents. But not a bad start. We'll see if it ends up that 2 damage ends up hurting him here. Looks like Jim was not very worried, as he has the force if he needed to force that Delver, but he didn't care. So he'll be resolving another Ponder. Looks like Jim is digging for some answers and then a good threat. We'll see what he ends up doing from here. Oh, nice Wasteland on that Wasteland essentially dealt 2 damage as well because of the Shock Land. Is Delver gonna flip? Doesn't look like it. Jeremy will draw for the turn. Looks like Jeremy's pretty light on lands here now, as he just has the Wasteland and this Delver. Attack first. We have 57 players here today coming out to play some Legacy. That puts our prize pool at a little bit over 1K. So hopefully we can get some people with a good run today. Oh, reveals to flip that Delver. Unfortunately, it is not that land. Looks like Jim also light on lands. So I think that it might be worth it for Jeremy to be firing off this Wasteland here if he knows that Jim missed a land drop, and then he can just ping in with that Delver. Yeah, Jim not drawing another land, and Jim has no threat. He has that Wrenn and 6, but he can't get it down, and it wouldn't even do anything to the Delver since it's flipped.
Here I am. Sorry about that. Anthony Rivera at the table had to do some light game maintenance, making sure they had housekeeping, making sure they had dice available in case one of them needed to storm off or anything. I did notice as I was dropping off tables that Jeremy Williams is not aggressively using this Wasteland.
No, I think that he needs to be using this Wasteland here.
They are both. See, it would have completely prevented that Delver from appearing.
Yeah, as soon as Jim was low, was missing his land drops, I think firing off the Wasteland was the best thing.
So what decks do we have playing here, Dan? You've been sitting at the table a little bit longer than I am. What's Jeremy playing?
Let me catch you up to speed.
Get me up to speed
We have
here.
Jeremy playing UR Delver. He's
You are what?
Blue-red.
Blue-red Delver.
Blue-red Delver. So he's just looking to, now with the new iteration of Dreadhorde Arcanist, to be able to get some card advantage through the long game and then use bolts and bolt-like cards.
What does Dreadhorde Arcanist do? Sorry, I haven't played in months.
That's the 1/3. That when you attack, you get to cast a card from your graveyard of converted mana cost less equal to or less than the power of Dreadhorde Arcanist.
Oh, so it's like a better upgraded in every way Ophidian.
I don't know what Ophidian is.
Ophidian is the original draw snake. It's 2 and a blue. It's a 1/3, and when it deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card.
Not nearly as good as Arcanist. Not nearly
So it's
as good.
slightly better. So here we also do see Jeremy getting punished by his not Wasteland choice. Jim has kind of stabilized the blocker of his own. Now he's firing off Brainstorms, which Jeremy cannot do anything with just that Wasteland hand. So we will admit that probably a maybe game-altering misplay here. Do we know if he found a Brainstorm or a land on that Brainstorm?
He did not.
He did not.
He's discarding down to hand size. So what's this mean? If he's staying, is he going to block here?
I mean, he has to block if he attacks. They're both kind of land screwed. Jeremy with that Wasteland that he did not utilize.
Oh, and triple bolt in Jeremy's hand.
And triple bolt in his hand. So 1 red, the game's probably over. Dudek does have a lot of Force of Wills, though.
Yeah, he does have a lot of Force of Wills.
Do you see anything else in Jeremy's deck you want to tell us about?
In Jeremy's deck, let's see. He's got the standard 2 True Name, 4 Dread Horde, 3 Young Pyromancers, 4 Delver's Secrets. It looks like he's also main decking a Blood Moon, which would be...
There we go. That is spice.
And 4 Stifle.
So Blood Moon actually super relevant in this matchup if either of them get any land. And 4 Stifle?
Another Wasteland. Okay, there's no reason why you shouldn't be Wastelanding here.
There it is. There it is. There's the Wasteland.
Okay.
Okay, 16 turns too late. We're good. So Jim, our man Dudek, is playing. I mean, we're gonna.
This 4-color Delver list.
This is a 4-color Devil list. I don't know if everyone's familiar with it. It is going full greed on the Wrenn and 6s and using Wrenn to stabilize a very shaky 4-color, almost 5-color, so 4-color plus Wasteland mana base. I played this last night and had hell with Wasteland induced mana screw, which we see Jeremy inflicting on Dudek right now. Even though Jeremy doesn't have anything going on, the game would have potentially been over if Jeremy aggressively had used the Wastelands, as Jim still has not found that second land.
Yeah, I think that the blue-red Delver is in a better spot because it can play lower to the ground. Their curve is just in generally lower than the 4-color Delver list.
Yeah,
even in this spot, I think...
There it is.
Jeremy
That's a big deal.
Gets the land. Oh, he's popping off now. Ready to start bolting their Delver.
I mean, the interesting part is he also has the days. So here's the Chain Lightning.
He's got four different bolts.
Here's the Force. This should be the days.
Oh, the Force pitching the days because...
That's the days right there.
Oh, I didn't see the days in Jeremy.
Oh, there's the second Force
pitching another days.
He should not.
Why is he putting the...
1 second. I'll tell him about that.
Jeremy should not be putting that in the graveyard.
1 second.
Oh, they got it fixed.
Okay, there it is. There it is.
His hand. That's how days works.
I almost had to wind sprint to the other end of the table here.
Okay, Jim finds that Wasteland, but it's not on the field for. But now the Volcanic Island's not on the field. I think that he should be Wastelanding the Wasteland before he plays his Volcanic Island to protect it.
Yeah, with the Wasteland on the board, let's see if he does that. There's the correct play.
That's good, and now he goes uncontested on these bolts, taking out the Delver and getting the hit in.
Swinging in for 3. I mean, unfortunately,
and he still has a Force backup. I think this is locked in.
Exactly the same thing that happened to me last night on this 4-color Delver list. You just have so much going on. It's a couple Wastelands is really all it takes. There is the Wasteland from Dudek, who's going to take him off a red, which will stop this from being an instant game over.
Yeah, looks like that could buy him a turn if
he has 1 turn, but I mean, with Wrenn and 6, Abrupt Decay in his hand, it's so difficult.
Yeah, I don't think he has any outs here. He doesn't have a bolt in hand, and he doesn't have the land to play it. There's the Rubbins land.
The land he was looking for the whole time. Okay, so Jeremy Williams takes game 1 on Blue-Red Delver.
All right.
Anything sideboarded you see on this Jeremy Williams deck?
Jeremy has a lot of things in his sideboard to really bring in here. So he has his Crater Maker, which is a good beater, and then can also kill the opposing Delvers. And
100% honest, I was looking at Crater Maker in my red-white Death and Taxes list last night.
Crater Maker is just this
Crater Maker
house of a card.
Good
house
card.
Of a card.
Unfortunately, not a human.
Right. And then I think that there's a pitfall here to bring in Electrickery. I don't think that he should bring in Electrickery because I don't believe that the 4-color Delver list runs Young Pyromancer. But Jeremy might not know that. This is a new list. to be on the up and up in order to see that. He has 2 Pyroblasts, which would definitely.
You can't be here. You can't do it here.
Get out of here, Tash.
Get out of here. We have some unwanted watchers here.
I haven't submitted my deck list yet. I need to figure something out. I'm just kidding. I submitted my deck list.
So he's going to be in 2 Pyroblasts in order to deal with the counter magic, and then opposing True Name Nemesis as they're coming down. And then again, he has 2 more Blood Moon on the side. I think those definitely need to come in.
Okay, we're officially up to 13 viewer, guys. We've made it past 10 in the 10th minute of our stream. Thank you guys all for being here.
10 for 10. Let's
10
keep it
for
up.
10. The 4-color list does have a lot of cards to trim that it can take out. A lot of those late game value engine cards. It is just playing better cards. I will say that. The 4-color Delver list is playing better cards. It has the Thought Seizes. It has the Abrupt Decays for the guaranteed kill. They both should have some number of Pyroblasts to bring in.
Yeah, just can't. He needs to be able to get off the ground, and if
He has
Jeremy
to
has
be
those
able to
wastelands,
cast
then
his
it's going to
spells.
be
Like,
tough.
I don't even need. We're not even going to talk about what Jim can do here. Just Jeremy has to punish him, and do not let Jim establish this 4-color mana base.
Yeah, if Jim's just up to two lands, then he's able to play some serious threats against Jeremy, and Jeremy's going to have to go on the defensive in that scenario. But if Jim is just doing ponders like he did last time off of his list has no basics, so he's pretty vulnerable to those wastelands.
Is this your biscuits and gravy?
No. I kind of wish.
We have some random biscuits and gravy at the table.
Those are gifts, offerings to the commentators.
So it looks like they're both sideboarding in significant amounts of cards here.
Yeah, I think that Jeremy takes out his stifles. Jim saw them, so I think that he's going to play more around them.
Did Jeremy get punished by? Did I miss the stifle?
No. He discarded one to hand size.
Okay.
Which is the best way to find out.
No,
that you're
Jeremy should keep his stifles in.
Do you think that he keeps them in
Well,
on the draw?
If this was me, keeping Jim Duduk on as low lands as possible is the play. So being able to punish him with stifles, I mean, just Wasteland Go, stifle your fetch land, tropical, anything like that, or Jeremy stifling a Wasteland from Jim. Jim leads Wasteland Go, Jeremy leads Volcanic Go. Being able to stifle that Wasteland is just as good as destroying it. So punishing the 4-color mana base is probably the best thing that Jeremy can do.
Yeah, I think that he really needs to identify that his cards aren't as powerful as Jim's cards, and keep it to the low to the ground will benefit him in the long run. So I think that the stifles would be beneficial. Maybe he's taking out the dazes. Taking out daze on the draw.
Yes.
As daze isn't as good if you're on the draw.
So interesting thing about this, though, we have had a lot of conversations recently about the lack of Delver in the Arizona metagame. A lot of that is attributed to players like yourself, Dan,
who dominate over them.
I mean this in the most endearing way possible. But there are a lot of people in Arizona that love playing these. I will say pet deck for lack of a better term.
I'll call them degenerate decks.
I'll call them. I will say degenerate pet decks, and pretty much most degenerate pet decks in this state absolutely stomp.
Yeah,
Delver.
we're definitely we're a meta that is entirely fringe decks, and there's not many people that play the decks that you'd see at, say, a GP.
Yeah, there's not very many
event.
of the big check decks. So we do have a lot of problems with degenerate combo in our meta,
right?
Because so many people, because the pet decks usually have a glaring weakness to the combo decks. Which is why we do have a lot of Storm players, a lot of Sneak and Chill players, a lot of Dark Depths players.
There's a lot of those, especially here today. We have a good amount of Storm, I know. We have a good amount of Depths, I know, and I've seen a lot of Sneak and Show. So
unfortunately, these two Delver players playing each other so early in the day.
Right, they wanted to prey on those decks.
They wanted to prey on the actual degenerates. So I mean, like I said, I played Delver last time, putting down my non-blue cards for the first time in as far as I can remember.
So no threat for Jim, but he has, and then he can't cast the removal in his hand, but he has the double Wastelands, but Blue-Red Delver has the basics.
So here's another hand from the 4-color Delver deck where it's good in most matchups. Like he has the cantrip, he has double cantrip with the island, but if Jeremy Williams has the Wasteland...
He has the Wasteland. Ooh, do you see that? It looks like that's Electrickery in Jeremy's hand. I think that he fell for that trap of thinking that there was some number of targets for that.
Yeah, so,
because of Young Pyromancer,
maybe,
but I don't
maybe
think that,
Jeremy does take out the stifles and he's just bringing in cards.
right, something to
Yeah.
So maybe if he can land that on on a
Unflipped Delver, yeah.
on an unflipped Delver, I think that's his best bet.
Other than that, I don't think there's anything to kill in Jim Dudek's list.
I don't think so.
It's just going to be unflipped Delvers.
I mean, this deck is streamlined to be able to handle other Ren 6 besides the Wasteland.
The 4-color Delver deck is, with the problems with the mana base that I saw, will absolutely crush anyone that doesn't heavily assault its mana base. And
okay, he kept his 6.
definitely made me think much more highly of just playing straight Rug in this meta.
Right.
Not having the 4th color, not having the Abrupt Decays and Thoughtseizes in your hands, getting to play the powerhouse that is Renin 6, as the card is absurdly powerful. We don't know exactly what shell it will turn in.
That's what I thought he was going to do. Just he didn't have a threat to deploy. He knew that he had to keep him low.
We do know there's a Badlands, which does not help.
That's okay.
He has the double. He has the double Wasteland though. That's the problem here.
Oh, does he?
He does have the double. The 3rd card is the second Wasteland.
All right, let's see.
He will not be deploying second Wasteland. Someone needs to talk to Jeremy Williams about
how he can Wasteland more.
How Wasteland is a very good card in this Legacy Magical the Gathering. But seeing 2 Delver decks playing, and then I actually played 2 Delver Mirrors last night.
You were also playing Delver then?
I played 4 color. I played the exact 75 Jim Dudek is playing right now.
Wow.
Had mana problems all night. Lost to 2 other lower to the ground Delver decks, and then got paired up.
I don't think it's the Delver deck to beat Delver decks.
So,
but I think that it preys on the rest of it.
Tarmogoyf is a very real Magic card right now.
Tarmogoyf's back. There's not as many Fatal Pushes. There's not as many swords right now. So
all removal is red. Very few Sword Splashers, especially in our metagame. And Tarmogoyf absolutely bodies this blue-red Delver deck.
Yeah,
so if Jim can resolve a blue-red Delver deck, there is absolutely
this is the main phase
nothing
Brainstorm
Jeremy Williams can do. Jeremy Williams, please fire off this.
I think Jeremy should have waited on that Brainstorm to maybe look at to bluff a Stifle.
We really need Jeremy Williams here to fire off this. Well, I imagine this is going to be is this main phase or end of turn?
I think this is his main phase.
Okay. Jeremy Williams should put 2 cards back, and he should fire off this Wasteland as immediately as possible.
So what's his best threat?
If he doesn't do that, shuffling away 2 dead cards with this fetch land and resolving something big would work.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that wasn't end of turn.
That was end of turn, okay.
Jeremy knows what's up. He
Sorry,
probably should have.
Jeremy,
He probably
you got this.
Once again, the blue-red Delver deck being able to represent basics is a big deal. Will Jeremy assert his double Wasteland prowess here?
Hey, Jim missed another land drop. I think that it's time. Maybe see some extra cards first with the Ponder. I'm Dan Ford.
This is Dan the Animal Ford coming right at you.
I decided to do some commentating today, take a break from the good old Goblins deck, which is the best one.
I actually love how Jeremy taps his fetches before he
and his Wastelands too.
Before baiting them,
he's a methodical player.
It really, and it opens up those corner cases for not getting a game loss for misplaying around a Stifle. If you're tapping it first and waiting for your opponent to resolve it,
on levels that I can only dream
levels
of.
that. How many times have people randomly just fetched and automatically picked up their deck?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
In this competitive REL, if double blue, if you fetch and pick up your deck, judge is going to be immediately called.
Yeah, I think he just wants to get some more cantripping up. He's under no pressure here. He knows that I think that he knows that Jim has some kind of removal, so he wants to get probably down a True Name Nemesis or something along those lines that won't.
Or he could cast Wasteland.
He could have Wastelanded him.
He could cast Wasteland.
I think that's a good point.
Not to beat a dead horse too much, because I have no problem
deploying the threat
with Delver. I mean, we do know about the bull.
Yeah. Nope, that's fine. Jim needs a land here.
There's a land.
This is good. He's out the 2 lands.
2 land with a blue source. Blue source being the most important. So none of those are additional lands. Jeremy should really think about firing off this Wasteland, just keeping
him off the blue?
keeping him down. I'd keep him off blue.
Yeah, because I think Black's fine. I don't think he's worried about Thoughtseize or Abrupt Decay. He needs green, so I think keeping him off the blue, and then also opening it up so they can't get dazed. Yeah, I think this deck really needs to get its mana going, and I think that's where, like, if you have a Wrenn and 6 in play, that changes the game entirely here.
There's the true. There's
Loser bracket.
Oh, what?
there's the true name that you were talking about.
True name, but it got dazed.
It did get dazed.
That was a little loose right there.
There's Wasteland for the Wasteland. Jim going to be protecting from Jeremy's mana denial.
Right. Okay, well, there's a Dreadhorde Arcanist. But no red mana. Brainstorm to try and find it.
I think Jeremy also made mistakes on his mana base. Fetching Volcanics or those Steam Vents would have been just fine, knowing that Jim is so mana light.
Right. Okay, well, so what does Jim need? If Jim's going to pull back out of this,
So Jim just needs to continue to make his land drops. He really needs a green source to front that Abrupt Decay, get his better spells online. I mean, sadly enough, his better spells cost 2. So he needs that black source to live, and he does need a green source. The deck is not playing a Bayou, which was a problem I found last night. So like underground, or so he will need the Tropical Island to be able to do much of anything. But at that point, he can get a Wrenn and 6 online, which would lock down the vast majority of Jeremy Williams' creatures.
Right, now with only the one true name left.
So there is the Delver, who is going to beat the second daze. So Jim's hand is allowing him to fight through this as much as possible.
And he's pulling lands. I think that
There's a Steam Vents.
Scalding Tarn.
Or Scalding Tarn.
Yeah, I think that he might want to start deploying threats, but also knowing that his opponent has removal, but actually Jeremy doesn't have any red mana. So we'll see. Jim playing it patient here. Another Delver.
And
This one's going to be able to be protected.
Well, he has a Decay, and it also looks like he has the Plague Engineer. Do you know what that card does?
Plague Engineer is a house right now. Plague Engineer is a 2/2 Death Touch for 3, a black and 2 colorless. When it comes into play, you get to choose a creature type, and then all of your opponent's creatures of that type get -1/-1.
What is its creature type being
It
important?
is a carrier.
It is a carrier, so it will
carries the plague,
most
you know,
likely
like
not
the
name
flavor was.
itself.
I wouldn't do anything, even if it did name itself.
Give itself -1/-1.
No, it's only opponents.
It's opponent's
See,
creatures.
Yeah, Engineered Plague does all creatures, but since this is one-sided, it's definitely a very big house. It looks like Jim wants to protect it, though. He's not going to put it down without having some way to make sure that it gets through. Ooh, and a Blood Moon, but is there a fetch land and then a Blood Moon here?
That
off the
looks
Ponder?
like a Flooded Strand Blood Moon Arcanist. That Blood Moon, if resolved, might be unanswerable. No, not unanswerable. He does have the Abrupt Decay in his hand.
And then that Delver's not flipping anytime soon.
The Delver's not flipping anytime soon.
Which is okay. I mean, this game's just kind of going a little bit
doing
longer.
its thing. So Jeremy Williams now needs to be playing around this.
Did he draw off his Ponder? I'm not sure if he drew off the Ponder. I wasn't looking. Oh, he did. He drew the Dreadhorde Arcanist.
He drew the Arcanist.
Okay.
Delver of his own.
Jim has some lands and he's deploying threats. Jim is in the spot that he wants to be in. Just needs to keep on answering Jeremy's board.
So Jim has lands on the ground. This is something that never once happened to me last night.
Well, this game's gone long enough.
There's the Flooded Strand. You know, he doesn't have the Blood Moon in his hand either. I don't think he drew.
I think that. Okay, we'll go rectify the situation here. Okay, but still, I think that we're going to be seeing Jeremy wanting to get his second true name would be the best point that he could be in, and then protect what he can. You see Anthony's beautiful hands there. caressing the deck. Okay, and we're getting that draw for Jeremy off his pawn that they missed. And I think Jeremy should just windmill slam that Blood Moon. If he runs into a daze, then he opens up for his. I don't know. I think Arcanist leaving up a mana is what
He did not
here.
draw off of his ponder.
Yeah, it didn't look like he did. Okay. Yeah, so I'm thinking. So he has the Blood Moon in hand now. He can either windmill slam the Blood Moon, which opens him up to daze, or he can just play the Dreadhorde Arcanist that's in his hand. He can't get that.
He can't get that. He has to get the Valk.
Which is fine.
Which is fine in this instance. This is where him fetching Valks the whole time probably would have been okay.
Oh, he might. He does have a Valk. Oh no, he has.
He has a Valk. He's got at least one.
He's got one.
There it is.
Okay.
And this is another deck where the Valk to Steam Vents doesn't really matter.
It wasn't that important. Like in the last game, it was not that important. It got wastelanded, but
Only you're in the Blue Red Delver deck. You're usually the most aggressive deck,
right?
So you're only going to get punished by more aggressive decks,
right? Which happens in a long tournament. It's definitely better to have the better card, but
so Jeremy could lead
out.
with the Dreadhorde Arcanist to play around days. If he gets to untap with it,
and keep up Spell Pierce though. I think that's the biggest thing.
If he gets to untap with it,
oh, he's going for big.
He's going for big.
So Jim's gonna have to shuffle, brainstorm, and then what's he looking for?
He's not brainstorming. He has the Abrupt Decay in his hand. He's floating mana, Abrupt Decay.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it should just be float mana, Abrupt Decay. There's the float mana.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Abrupt Decay.
Abrupt Decay as he's passing.
Okay, so I mean, I really actually do respect the just go for broke with the Blood Moon. Getting that Dreadhorde Arcanist in play is also extremely valuable.
Right. Oh, there's a Tarmogoyf, and that's gonna be tilting it towards Jim.
Can't watch this. Yeah, I mean, you can go watch it in there.
Yeah, fucking get away from us. Oh man, I mean, this is a really, really good Delver.
This turned into a good game. Jim's trying to come back from. There is the Tarmogoyf. This is where I was giving props to the straight rug deck. Is you remove. I mean, obviously having that Abrupt Decay
Rug doesn't run the basics either, though, right?
It doesn't run the basics either, but Tarmogoyf is so big.
It's bigger in Rug than it is in 4-color.
Just
Planeswalker.
Just as big. Planeswalkers. They both have Planeswalkers.
Oh, they're both running Ren.
They're both running Ren 6.
Okay, so Bolt.
So Jeremy might.
While it's on the stack.
Jeremy
Spell Pierce here.
Might be losing control here.
We'll see. I mean, I think.
Fine. There's the flip.
I think he's not in a terrible spot. He has 2 bolts in hand and that Electric which did not do anything.
I'm not exactly sure how he kills. Does he have a card in his 75 that kills Tarmogoyf?
No, but he has a True Nim to start blocking it. He might be able to do some shenanigans with double bolting it.
Arcanist needs to get on the table.
Yeah. Bolt the Delver.
He is limited by red mana. I do like bolting the Delver play is, I guess, acceptable. He's not gonna block that Tarmogoyf, so he should have attacked. He should have
attacked, yes. Unless he was gonna block and then bolt it.
He doesn't have red mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not blocking, so he probably, if anything, you leave the bolt up and trade Delvers.
Yeah. 2 ships passing in the night.
Yeah. Should be. I mean, Arcanist go?
Yeah, I think it's Arcanist.
We do know Arcanist does amazing things, so if Jim attacks, what can Jeremy do back? So there's the Brainstorm.
Does not want that to resolve.
We know he has the double bolt, so that's going to be 6, 9, 10 damage. He found the Abrupt Decay.
And also he could do Plague Engineer in order to make it so it has 0 toughness.
Yeah, it would
So,
also
so that's
work.
what he's going to be doing. He's going to just turn that off with the Plague Engineer.
Waste.
I think this is definitely heavily in Jim's favor. He was able to pilot this back from a rough start.
And here's the Plague Engineer. The cool part, or the interaction here, is that
Wizards.
Plague Engineer is going to reduce Arcanist power to 0, which means he cannot use the ability to flashback any spells. Or he can use it to flashback spells that cost 0.
You can use it to save 5 life, though.
He can use it to block a Tarmogoyf.
All right.
There's the mountain.
Got a red mana, can take care of the Plague Engineer, but he's going to need another Haymaker after that. And it looks like Jim is fully out of cards. Everything's on the table.
Once again, Tarmogoyf.
Tarmogoyf can take this home, but Jeremy is well within.
I mean, this blue-red Delver deck is the reason you're seeing the resurgence of Tarmogoyf.
I think so.
It's just cold to him.
Yep.
He's big, he's scary, he's
I don't think he lets him draw.
absolutely
I think he just
unkillable.
goes here.
Yeah.
What's that blue card in his hand?
Couldn't tell you.
Down to 4. All right, let's see a true name off the top for Jeremy, and then he will be able to stabilize. Otherwise, he's going to want to chump stuff, some kind of creature to chump. Fetch land, I don't think does it.
I think that's going to be going to game 3.
Looking through his lines. Yep, there it is. Scoop him up.
And
next
this went kind of how we were talking about earlier. Jim was allowed to establish his mana base,
Right.
the superior removal, the superior interaction, and the 4-color Delver deck's allowed to take it. Jeremy Williams, hopefully we get Stifles back in. Hopefully we get that more low to the ground, fast, aggressive.
Dazes, Stifles, put him back in. Want to keep him low on lands. Don't let him get up to 2 lands. 4 lands is a lot. If Jim's also sideboarding in 3 drops like Plague Engineer, I think it's just all about making it so that you can work on a lower level than they can. You know what they say when you're playing Blue-Red Delver: they hit high, you hit low.
I don't think they say that. I'm just.
They all say that.
They all.
Everybody loves saying that.
Everyone says that.
We'll get the this third game going quick after we do another shuffle.
More. Did anyone sideboard?
I don't think that there's any more sideboarding. I think Jim might have done a little swap here and there. I think that Jeremy should really take out those electrickeries. I've seen Jeremy play a lot of different decks though, so he's doing pretty well for himself on this Blue-Red Delver. That first game, and then a few misplays in the second game. I can't paint him as a saint, you know.
Yeah, I can't say that not wastelanding was
Yeah.
correct. I could probably say that he needed to be fetching blue-red.
I think he
needed
was
to be
worried
fetching
about
vaults.
getting out his Dread Horde, and he wanted to make sure that he could get out the Dread Horde. Thinking that he could go with a longer game. I think that it's just identifying where you place in the matchup is so key.
I think he played with a little bit of the fear. He
Yeah,
definitely fetching those basics cost him his red spells. He couldn't cast red spells for most of the game, and he was limited by 1 red mana a turn. He was playing around the Wasteland Wrenn and 6. I'm gonna go out there and say he was playing around the stigma of Wasteland Wrenn and 6.
If he got that off, he would have been done.
If he got that off and you have 3, we never actually got there.
Blood
Jeremy just
Moon
didn't.
remain up, no lands, pushing
What's
it.
the word? He just didn't put his foot down. You know, he didn't.
Yeah. He needed the gas. He needed a little bit more gas.
He didn't gas when he needed to. If he would have just been finding his red lands, he would have had 3 Valks in play as opposed to the 1. The Wasteland wouldn't have mattered at that point. He would have had full access to the Lightning Bolt, the Pyroblast in his hand, the Dreadhorde Arcanist in his hand.
Yep.
The double Dreadhorde Arcanist, actually.
Yeah, I think that if he could have landed that, and I don't fault him for thinking that I have 2 Dreadhorde Arcanists. If I can go to the late game, then I'll be winning because of my sheer card advantage. I don't fault him for that at all because I think that's a really great place to be in.
Yeah.
But Jim also has Dreadhorde Arcanist and has Tarmogoyfs and has Ren and 6.
Jim's deck is not built around the Arcanist as much. It's more built around the Ren and 6
Right.
and the Tarmogoyf interaction.
How many does he run?
He's
2?
running 2.
Yeah.
So it is cool to be able to flash stuff back, but
That's the bolt, man.
That's really...
Doing the double bolts is just worth having at least a couple in. And it's just a really strong 2-drop. It's just hard. It's hard to deal with a 1/3. It's whenever a creature has that extra 1 toughness is when it's like now legacy playable. Resolving mulligans. put one
Jeremy
to
had the
bottom.
mulligan. I will say, fetching the 1 island was probably correct, because he does
Yes,
know
I
about
think-
the Blood Moon.
Yeah.
Second island, probably not.
So, I mean, that is a good insurance that Jeremy has, that if the game does go long, he has that Blood Moon that will just completely shut down. Ren and 6 can be on the table, and it,
Game's
and
over.
It wouldn't matter.
So let's see if Jeremy Williams and his Blood Moons can get there.
Jim has a nice controlling hand. We'll be able to bolt this Delver. But it looks like there's a second Delver to follow it up with then protection on Jeremy's side. Jeremy a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, Jeremy with the mulligan. His hand is in.
But giving him back the turn means that he can now.
Here's going to be the flip and the Bolterino.
Oh, but because Jim wanted the
There's-
info, and it hurt him.
The old
Is
spell,
there gonna be a daze
spell
on Jim's
pierce
side?
the bolts. See, I like how Jeremy just holds things to waiting for them to resolve. There's the daze.
Yeah, there's the days. Okay.
I like it. Good interaction. Things were happening.
Not a bad plan then.
There's good old-fashioned interactive magic here, guys.
This is Legacy. I mean, when I first saw Legacy, I was like, seeing that they were on turn 7 with 2 lands on the field, and I was like, what is going on here? Not your normal Magic.
So what do we see in his hand? That's the second Delver, a Brainstorm, and a... He did bring in Pyroclasms.
Yeah, I think that he just thinks that there's
He
a card
definitely,
that there's
he's
not, and
definitely the
that-
same with the
He thinks that they're also playing Young Pyromancers. so there's
Electrickery. He's definitely playing around said.
Well, Pyroclasm
Also kills Delvers.
Can kill Delvers, but kills his Delvers.
He kills his own Delvers. So it might be the same trap that he brought in, and neither of these cards.
Yeah, that's 3 whole cards. If he brought in the whole thing, that's 3 cards that he brought in that are just not.
Does not
very
kill
good.
Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, just like they are not answers. to
Or
the card.
Dreadhorde Arcanist.
Yep.
But those Delvers, dead.
Yeah, he's got it down on Delvers, but I think Jim could have even just cut Delvers because he doesn't even because he just wants to go long and then win with the Tarmogoyf or the True Name or with the Ren and 6.
Let's see, land go. Jim has lands in his hand.
There's Electrickery.
There's the Electrickery to flip said Delver.
That's one thing it's good for.
So he now has 2 cards in his hand
Just gonna let it flip.
that don't do a whole lot of much. We have the Electrickery and the Pyroclasm.
Yeah, he's a brainstorm to get rid of him.
Trace.
Looks like Jim does not want to. He's like 3 damage is fine. I do not want to play into any counter spells for this. Oh, looks like he's going to do it after the fact.
Brainstorm in response. What can he find?
Daze.
Hopefully a fetch land.
There's the fetch.
There's the fetch
and a
land.
Dreadhorde.
There's the
Oh, and
Arcanist. There's a Wasteland.
That's big. Oh, Jim has a couple more lands to follow that up. But those
Jim-
are definitely better than the 2 cards that don't do anything in the matchup.
Jim has a Trop Wasteland in his hand as lands to follow it up. So if Jim does decide to waste this Valk, Jeremy would have no way to play the Dreadhorde Arcanist.
And he looks like he's thinking about putting back. And then what's the other one? Wasteland as well? He's putting back the Wasteland?
I mean, he's going to immediately draw one of these cards. So hypothetically,
Oh, this is on his second main. Or end of turn.
Dude, the foil ones are like over 250 now. They've been going up and up and up.
I see what you're saying.
yeah, he's still drawing one of these cards.
I'm there. I got it.
So what did he
Figured
put
that
back?
one out. It's his second. Oh, he's saying that was on your end step, not on your second main.
Yes.
Oh, there's the Renin 6. Oh, he's gonna get that live. That's gonna be big. And he has the Wasteland.
There is the Renin 6.
I mean, Renin 6 is good, but if against a Dreadhorde Arcanist, it's not as big of an impact.
I mean, the Dreadhorde Arcanist isn't there. It's going to completely invalidate Jeremy Williams' Wasteland plan. It's
Right.
going to let Jim waste anything that Jeremy plays, and Jim's going to make every land drop for the rest of the game. That's actually the bigger part.
That is huge.
And
That
he
is
will
definitely
always
huge.
have cards to shuffle for his
But a
brainstorm.
Dreadhorde Arcanist, there's a bolt in the graveyard, is there not? In Jeremy's graveyard, did he cast a bolt yet?
I do not believe.
No, I don't think so,
do not
actually.
believe there is
No.
a bolt.
No.
He has the Electricity. He needs to shuffle away what's on top of his library. Step one.
Yes, definitely.
We'll talk about step ones here. Step one, shuffle away what's on top of your library.
Dreadhorde Arcanist.
Step two, play Dreadhorde Arcanist.
That's good. And then I think we also might see the power of. So he goes Wasteland, right? So he goes Wasteland, take Wasteland back, Brainstorm,
Yes.
and then he gets the extra card.
I mean, at this point, Jim making his land drops might just be that much more important.
Yeah, I don't think Jim sees anything very threatening in the graveyard that he has to deal with, so Dreadhorde Arcanist isn't as good, but ticking up is still.
Oh, ticking up really good. There is the Wasteland. He's gonna take.
Oh, don't tick up right now. Just on nothing. Okay.
He wants the Wasteland mana. There
Oh,
it is. Yeah.
There's a true name.
And
Now
here
it all
it's
makes
super
sense,
funny
Jim
that we're talking about late games here. This is late game in Legacy, guys. There's 3 lands in play, and we just made it there.
Yeah, we made it to our late game.
Renin 6 might be the most powerful Planeswalker at the moment. True Name Nemesis is definitely the best win condition you can have in
Yeah.
Legacy
There's
at this
so-
point.
There's so few things that actually answer it.
Relatively unanswerable.
It's not a quick clock, but
Arguably,
Legacy, it does pretty well.
a mistake by Wizards.
eh,
A blatant oversight.
I think it's still fine to be in the format. I wish that there was more concession to deck building to put it in, but they're not running 4 of them.
I mean, they're not running 4 of them, but Jeremy is absolutely. He's now on a 3-turn Sulfuric Vortex.
That's true.
That's just going to hit him for 3, and there's nothing he can do about
And then then it goes on blocking duty if it needs to. I think that
I don't think there's
it's
anything.
still the same thing that same song and dance that we've been saying here. Jim got his land drops,
Jim got his land drops.
and then it's just over from there. Jeremy, how does he get out of this?
What did he draw?
Electricity does not kill the true name. He's like, okay, that happens. And then
Got him.
now I will explain to you how protection works, where damage does not get dealt to the thing that has protection. Jeremy beating himself up about that one. Okay, I think that Jim has this in a lock. Wasteland, the Wasteland, I guess.
Wasteland's trying to get out.
I think that Jeremy can win by racing. But these Wastelands,
These ever recurring Wastelands. I mean, Jeremy will have
So-
Island Mountain at least.
I don't know. He can get the mountains. Oh, adding the clock here I think is big.
Oh, no, that's the steam vents. That's not.
Yep.
He couldn't get the mountain.
I think Jim wants to put on clocks, and
There's the Delver. That will probably be
yeah, I think that Jeremy does not have a good chance of racing here.
the actual win condition.
Get a bolt, bolt that, attack, and then be able to.
So in these
There's
4
a
color
bolt.
lists.
So he has a double bolt here. Now, do you double bolt the Renin 6? I think that he has to double bolt the Renin 6. And you have to lose.
I mean,
but then you lose
double
your
vote
Dreadhorde.
means you lose your Dreadhorde Arcanist.
But otherwise, you lose all your lands.
He's gonna lose
a
all
tough-
his lands,
It's a rock
and
and hard place.
this Renin 6 is one loyalty away from ulting, which would give Jim endless lightning bolts, endless pyroblasts, endless ponders, endless. I don't see anything else there. Endless dazes. Endless abrupt decays is going to be the other thing that's very important. So there's not really much Jeremy can do against.
Looks like he is going to try and kill the Delver, though.
There's the
He just
7.
lets him get the Wasteland back.
There's the Wasteland. Wasteland on the red source.
Bolt there.
Kill the Delver.
It is not looking very like there's very much over on Jeremy's side. And that young Pyromancer does not line up well against his friend in 6 either.
And Jim has lands in play, and that was always going to be the entire.
Yeah, and he still has them in hand too because of that
Has
Ren
him in
6.
play, has him in hand. So do you ult the Ren immediately with lands in hand?
No.
You just I guess
No, I'll pick it up once. He's not going to kill it.
he's not behind it. He's not behind. He doesn't need the cards in his graveyard.
Jim's been playing very patiently all game, and I think that he's going to continue to do that.
Yeah, the Wastelock is established. There's no reason to rush the Ren and 6 ult as much as we would love to see it. Yeah, gets a land back, puts it in his hand, plays a Plague Engineer.
Plague Engineer to turn off that Dreadboard.
There's the 3. So the clock has finally started for Jim Dudek.
Jim's like feeling comfortable about his position. There's not much that Jeremy can do here. I will start attacking and getting in.
I mean, he drew in a Braid. He can kill the Plague Engineer.
He cannot. He does not have a mountain.
Oh, he does not have a mountain.
Because
His
of the landlock.
mountain has left.
Yep, and now
Mountain has left the building.
and now
There's
he can
the
ult there,
ult.
and he can go
How many-
5 you. You can retrace it as many times as you have lands, right? And then you
Yes.
have to pay mana for it, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. So he
So-
only has 1 bolt a turn.
So Jim's entire graveyard is now in his hand essentially for every land that he has.
I think that was Tash harassing them over there.
That was Tash giving him a bigger dice.
Harassing.
So here's a Delver, so he can easily start retracing Ponders, retracing Brainstorms. He has Lightning Bolts, so he can retrace a bolt to kill this Dreadhorde Arcanist. Just make sure, and there's the game.
Oh,
Good game,
there
guys.
it is. Okay.
For our 35 viewers, we have a Jim Dudek local superhero on 4-color Delver defeating Jeremy Williams on blue-red Delver. Round is almost up, so we are going to go to our handy-dandy in-between rounds BRB. We will see you guys in round 2.